So, today we're going to tackle a project management technique that is so powerful it can help you finish pretty much any project, big or small, right on time. You ready to see how this thing works?
You know the feeling, right? You've got this huge project, a dozen different tasks, and they all feel like priority number one. You're working your tail off, but are you actually working on the right things? What if there was a way to know for sure which exact tasks define your deadline? To get our heads around this, we're going to go on a mission. And well, it's a pretty delicious one. We're going to bake and decorate a birthday cake as fast as humanly possible. And believe it or not, this simple little kitchen project holds the key to managing massive, really complex operations. Okay, let's map this out. We've got 4 main jobs to do. Task A, mix all the ingredients. That's going to take 10 minutes. Then task B, bake the cake for 40 minutes, but, and this is key, that can only start after we've mixed everything. Then we have task C, make the frosting. That's 20 minutes. Also has to wait for the mixing to be done. And finally, task D, decorating, which needs both the cake to be baked and the frosting to be ready.
So, this idea of one task having to wait for another is absolutely crucial. It's called a dependency. It's really just a fancy way of saying some things have to come before others. I mean, it makes total sense, right? You can't decorate a cake that isn't even baked yet. This simple rule is the foundation for this whole method. So here's our game plan. Everything kicks off with mixing the ingredients, but check out what happens next. This is where it gets interesting. Once that batter is ready, we can actually start 2 things at the same time. The cake can go in the oven while we're making the frosting. These are what we call parallel tasks. Now, because we have these tasks happening at the same time, it basically creates 2 different paths from start to finish. It's kind of like a race. We've got 2 routes from mixing the batter to having a fully decorated cake. So which path do you think is going to be the long one? First step, let's look at what I'm calling the oven path. This is the sequence that involves, the oven. So we've got 10 minutes for mixing, plus 40 minutes for baking, and then 10 minutes to decorate. Add it all up, and you get a grand total of 60 minutes. All right, now for path number 2, the frosting path. Now, we still have that 10 minutes of mixing at the start and the 10 minutes of decorating at the end. But the task in the middle, making the frosting, that only takes 20 minutes. So that gives us a total time of just 40 minutes. And when you see it laid out like this, wow, the difference is huge. The oven path is a full 60 minutes, but the frosting path is a whole 20 minutes shorter. So even though stuff is happening in parallel, one of these sequences is clearly the bottleneck. And this gap between the 2 paths, it's not just a fun little math problem. It is the absolute key to understanding your project's real timeline. This leads us right to the big idea, the whole point of this explainer. Okay, let this one sink in for a second, because it sounds like a complete riddle. The longest path determines the shortest time. How can that be? This is the core kind of mind-bending idea behind the critical path method. At the end of the day, a project is only as fast as its slowest, longest chain of tasks. And that longest path, it's got a name. It's called the critical path. Think of it as the spine of your project. It's the one chain of tasks where any delay, even 1 single minute, will push back your entire project deadline. It has 0 wiggle room. So for our cake project, the critical path is crystal clear. It's mix, then bake, then decorate. A to B to D. And what that means is the absolute fastest we can possibly get this cake done is 60 minutes. That's our deadline, and it's set in stone by the tasks on this one path. But wait, what about that other path, the faster one? Well, this is where we uncover a kind of project management superpower. It's the secret flexibility that's been hiding in our schedule this whole time. And it's called float. So let's just look at the numbers again. The total project time, which we know is set by that critical path, is 60 minutes. But the sequence involving the frosting, that only takes 40 minutes to get through. And the difference is, of course, 20 minutes. And this isn't wasted time. This is a resource. It's a buffer. It's flexible time we've just discovered inside our project plan. This buffer has an official name. It's called float. Or sometimes you'll hear slack. It's basically the amount of time a task that is not on the critical path can be delayed or messed up or take longer without affecting the final project deadline one tiny bit. It's your safety net.
So what does this 20 minutes of float mean for making our frosting? Well, it means we've got options. We could start it 20 minutes late if we wanted to. We could work on it a lot more slowly. We could literally stop after mixing the ingredients and take a 20-minute coffee break. And guess what? The cake still gets done in 60 minutes. Amazing, right? Now, obviously, a cake is a pretty simple example. But this exact same logic, this same method, applies to everything from building a skyscraper to launching a new app or even planning a wedding. The principles are exactly the same. And this is how the pros use it to make really big decisions. It tells them exactly where to put their best people and their most important resources on the critical tasks. It acts like an early warning system. If a task on the critical path starts to slip, they know immediately that the final deadline is in danger. And it lets them talk to their clients and bosses about schedules with real confidence. So, I'll leave you with this question. This method isn't just for huge construction projects. Think about your own life, your own goals, planning a vacation, studying for a big exam, or even just your routine for getting out the door in the morning. What are your dependencies? What's the longest chain of things you absolutely have to get done? What, when you really think about it, is your critical path?